Hello everybody, welcome back to the breakdown. I'm Tone. Thank you for joining me once again. I wanted to just put out a quick video tonight. Sorry that I haven't put out one for a couple of days. Life gets pretty busy, especially with all the delivering to people who are not allowed to leave their homes because of curfew. Only us with permits are allowed to be out, and it's been crazy busy. I can only put it that way. I've been run off my feet. I just wanted to give an update as to what things are like here in Melbourne for any of you that are watching this that are not here in Melbourne. We've got no clear advice as to when this current lockdown is going to end. And I'm feeling quite vindicated at the moment because the very day, only moments before I put out the video saying that we were going to go into the 3-day lockdown, which turned into a 7-day, which turned into a 14-day lockdown, I got my hair cut. So, look, it can go on for another however many weeks I would normally leave my hair. I'm okay. But I'm feeling vindicated because I did get my hair cut, predicting that it was going to be a pretty long time before I might get a chance, and it was starting to get a bit wild and woolly. But there's no certainty being provided to any of the residents here in Melbourne, and currently wider Victoria. So Victoria is under lockdown as well. Don't think they've got a curfew, but they're under lockdown. If you're in wider Melbourne and you know whether there's a curfew or not, you can correct me on that, leave it in the comments. But anyway, there's no pathway out of this current lockdown. We're not being given any advice on that. The one in Sydney, they're talking about that pushing on well beyond September and October. It's quite ridiculous. And another thing I wanted to cover is these protests that are going on in Melbourne and in Sydney. I've stated this time and time again. I guess I'll just cover it again. There's no point in going and doing these protests like this because they're not going to get noticed for the purpose they're being used for. As I said, protests are outdated in terms of the way that they're done now. That's outdated. 70s, 80s, maybe. Protest against a war or something like that. Sure, get out there and do it. It's really not. There's no point. There's no real point in doing it now. But there's the select few that are tarnishing even that attempt at making some noise and trying to get attention and make their cause heard. There's a few that are clashing with police at all of these. Police are being injured and they're only doing their job. They're enforcing a law that we might not agree with, but it is the law and that's their job. But there's a select few that are clashing with them, and then there's arrests and there's injured police. It's stupidity. Just plain and simple. It's stupid. Look, in Australia at the moment, now it's a rumour. I haven't had it verified. I can't verify it at this point. There's talk that the truckies, or the truck drivers, are going to stop. As of the very end of August, they're going to stop carting anything anywhere. Now, I also heard that they were possibly going to blockade roads. Now, I certainly hope they don't do that, because I think blockading roads and cutting access to roads for anybody is actually worse than people going to these protests and getting violent. It's trying to fight against a regime well, it's not a regime, but it's trying to fight against a government that is oppressing people, in quotation marks, oppressing people by oppressing people so they can't move from one place to another. So blockading is utterly ridiculous. I really hope they don't do that. But simply just stopping the trucks, hopefully not between depots, but just leave the trucks at the depots. So there's no stuff out there that can get looted or stolen from the trucks along the highways. Hopefully they just leave the trucks in the depots and they get their point across, because it is true. While we've been in lockdowns and while society's been locked down and businesses are dying and all that sort of thing, this idea that things keep ticking over is happening largely because currency velocity continues. People are still spending money. Government stimulus is coming along to assist in that. But truck drivers are continuing to move the things for everybody so that they've got the necessities to live off of, right? So they can go to the supermarkets that one time per day and get their stuff. And in Sydney, I think they were talking about maybe making it one time per week. But anyway, they're the lifeblood, right? These truckies, and they're not being treated very well. I'm not sure if you're aware, but truck drivers have to follow all of the getting COVID tests. There's some truckies getting fines because, hey, if you're working all these long hours a day, driving to and fro, trying to get stuff sorted out, you're not watching the news, not necessarily listening to the updates that are changing daily. And a lot of truckies are being fined for breaching the rules when they were probably following the rules of yesterday, but today they've changed and they get fined. But anyway, if the trucks stopped and everybody that is wanting to make themselves heard slowed down the currency velocity within our nation, the government would have no choice but to stop and to listen. But it takes more than just a handful of people to do these things to get the point across. But going to the CBD in Melbourne and the CBD in Sydney and protesting like nutcases, even if you're there and you're just standing behind the nutcases going nuts, you're really not doing anything and you're not doing yourselves any favours and you're putting yourself at risk of getting a fine. So I still stand by my idea that protests are quite ridiculous. I went to the Black Lives Matter peaceful protest. That was completely and utterly ridiculous too. But I went there because I wanted to see what one looks like these days. I just went to observe. And yeah, so there's no point to them. You want to protest? You stop. As a larger number of people, you stop doing the things that you would normally do. That will get you noticed and you'll get your point across, because an economy requires currency to be moving. It requires stuff to be moved from place to place for sale. And if those two things stopped, I think there would be a lot of recognition. It would get noticed. Now, I wanted to just cover what I wanted to cover. One other thing. On the radio today, there was... I'm not sure who it was now. Again, no names, and it's probably a good idea that I don't name people. But what they stated was, and I think I would put this as the clown effect of the day. I've added this new piece to my videos where I pick out something that I think's pretty ridiculous. So the clown effect for today is some guy was being interviewed. So he was on there as a guest. He wasn't just a random caller. And he stated that, look, there's no real point in going to do these protests right now. And while I agree with that, His point was, don't go and do a protest about these things now. Once we open back up and the rules have changed and the law has changed, then you can go out and you can protest then. Now, while I say that protesting at all is redundant, going and protesting about something that has finished is also equally stupid. So he takes out the clown effect for today. It's quite ridiculous. You go and protest something that's finished. What? If it's finished and it's done with, why would you go out there and go, stop? Oh, it's already stopped. Anyway, so I think he misses the whole point that a protest is making some noise about something that you want to change. If it's already finished, it's already changed. Probably glad that I can't name him, because I'd be tempted to. The final thing that I would like to finish on today is I want to encourage any of you out there that have some views that probably aren't well liked by the mainstream media and those sheeple that are following the mainstream. I want to encourage you to be patient. You're going to continue to have a majority speaking up against any things you bring, whether it be your well-reasoned opinion or whether it's even facts you're bringing forward. You're going to receive a fair bit of flack. And you'll have science, the word science, but science thrown at you. And those that are, well, they'd like to think that they're smarter than you. They're going to come and say things as well. But I want to encourage you to be patient. A spirit of patience in the face of what's being thrown at you is actually a virtue. Okay? If you're able to remain patient, then obviously what you're standing for has some value. It's those that get triggered. And when I say triggered, I mean they've read something, or they've watched something, or they've heard someone say something and just snap. They're triggered. Now, anyone that falls into that boat doesn't have a whole lot of patience, and I'm pretty sure we could label that as an anxiety. It's an anxiety of, hang on, someone's stated something that goes against my ideal or has gone against my preconceived idea, and bang, it's just, I can't deal with that. I'm just over it, rah. A patient person is going to hear it, think about it, and come back with a very coherent, understanding, and reasoned response. They're not going to snap, triggered, bang. So I just want to encourage you to exercise patience in this time. As I've stated through the videos up until this one, these things are not going to stop. And the process that's led to these things happening has been in place for a very, very, very long time. And anyone that doesn't get that, I'm afraid has been blindsided completely and ignorant to actually what's going on. Anyway, I just want to leave you with that. Remain patient. Thank you for joining me. Share this video to anyone you feel you'd like to share it to. Please leave a like. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. A big hello to anyone that's watching over there in the US. Thank you for joining me here. And I hope that you're getting value also out of these videos and updates that I'm putting out. And everybody, please keep in contact with those that you know might be dealing with this stuff a little bit tough. Please contact with them, make sure that they are going okay. Don't forget them. I know life gets busy and we've got a heck of a lot to deal with, but please don't forget them. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next videos. Take care and God bless you. Bye for now.